Hey guys, it's Raf and Mike. Welcome to the Golf Podcast Live Emergency Pod number one. Uh, Big news today, Mike. Really big news. Isn't this crazy? Just 11 hours ago, the PGA Tour announced a merger. I'm just going to read this really quickly. This is the title: PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and PIF, the Public Investment Fund, announced newly formed commercial entity. Mike, this is huge.
Biggest news in sports in decades, in my opinion. I don't recall anything of this scale with the XFL, NHL competition in the past. This is shocking. Like, I thought it was April Fool's, as did probably anybody, any podcaster, broadcaster, anyone involved in the golf industry, including players on the tour, were flabbergasted this morning. So, and this is just the beginning. Like, what else is going to get unpacked? The players are meeting now. I think are they in their meeting now, or they're in or going in soon?
I believe
Privately?
there's a players meeting.
Isn't
Obviously,
that the case?
yeah, absolutely. I'm obviously in Toronto. In Toronto, we got the Canadian Open happening over at Oakdale Golf and Country Club. Very exciting. I'm in my car, not at an office or at home, because this is just so huge. This is really big news. So I think there's a players meeting at the club. Again, this happened about 11 hours ago, and this agreement basically establishes a common goal to promote and grow the game, basically globally, for the benefit of all its stakeholders. So that's the key word there. I think because of all the legal litigation that was happening, Mike, this was never going to end well. Not only for the
No.
players, all the corporations, and it just goes on and on with whoever's involved on every single level of tour golf.
I think neither party wanted to be under the scrutiny of the court system and have to open the hood on both sides of the argument, and a lot of details could have come out. From what I'm understanding in today's whirlwind of golf, like, Golf Channel hasn't taken a commercial break all day, but
Yeah.
what stands out is the PGA Tour was weak financially. So we can guess they were backed into a corner to either come up with some kind of a deal, or what. Was the PGA Tour potentially go to business? Would they run insolvent? They had committed to a lot of these elevated events. There's chatter about the financial condition after COVID. So all of these things made them a target for takeover or a merger of this scale.
Mike, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going to read to you a statement just so that we can clarify everything. Keith Pelly, chief executive of the DP World Tour, said, "This is a momentous day. We are delighted to be able to not only reignite our relationship with PIF, but also to have the opportunity to build on our current strategic alliance partnership with the PGA Tour. Together, we will be stronger than ever and well-positioned to continue to bring the game to all the corners of the globe. To partner in this new entity and influence the growth of the game for all our DP World Tour members is energizing and exciting." Wow. Isn't that the polar opposite of what everybody on the executive committees of the PGA Tour and DP World Tour have been saying for the last 2 years? Now, Mike, to all our followers and listeners, we've always been neutral. We're, for the love of the game, and we never wanted to mix politics with the players. But isn't that the opposite of what we've heard, especially from people like Jay Monahan? Remember that interview with Jay Nance? I'll just stop there. There's just so much to talk about.
I saw a replay of that interview today, and I mean, Jay's even admitted he's taking the punches in the chin regarding being hypocritical. He's spinning it he's got a spin on it with that was the information he had at the time, and which isn't a lie. But the reality is, if the PGA wasn't in position to sustain a battle financially, or who knows what was going to come about. Like the tour is being accused of being a monopoly, and now we have a mega monopoly encompasses all of golf. So why not? They're going to throw the LPGA under this umbrella soon enough. I mean, they're already a lot of Saudi money involved with the LPGA tour. They've been a little bit more welcoming to it. There's a lot that's going to get unpacked as we move forward, because the details were very thin today. And that's the consensus we hear from the meeting earlier. So with Jay Monahan and the players. So
yes. No, I agree. Look, I think you put it really well. There's lots to unpack. This is just the beginning of something that is something that's happened that I never thought would happen, or at least this soon anyways, Mike. We're looking at the fact that LIV may not exist anymore, because this is not a deal. Like, a lot of the tweets and information coming out is listing this as a merger between LIV, the tour, the PGA Tour, and DP, but it's not. It's a merger with the Public Investment Fund. So does that mean that LIV may be over? We've yet to see, but I'm going to just jump in here and read another statement, because we want to get the facts. Mike, you and I, we're not fact checkers. We're lovers of the game, but certainly we want to get this right. So the Augusta National said, as we have expressed previously, what makes golf special is its rich history and ability to bring people together. We are encouraged by the announcement, which represents a positive development in bringing harmony to men's professional golf. Now, Mike, I did a vlog on Twitter, and I'm getting bombarded by a lot of people, and I'm also getting a lot of likes. I'm not used to getting kind of thrown under the bus for just talking about unity. I didn't say anything bad. We talked about the unity of people getting together, always getting to see the best players in the world. And I was tired of hearing about, these the Saudis, the Saudi people, the Saudi regime, these murderous people. It was really about just accepting the fact that a lot of corporations do business in Saudi Arabia. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning the murders. I think it's atrocious. And I think everybody, if on tour, be it a player or not a player, is not condoning any of the actions of countries such as China and Saudi Arabia. That's not the point. But leave the players alone, because the players are getting, bombarded with negativity and hate because they're playing the game in certain places with certain sponsorship. But I think it's finally being revealed that these sponsors in the US, 20 plus sponsors, do businesses. So you can't untangle all of this garbage that we have in the world and the negative aspects of different things.
Even Brandel Chambly chimed in and acknowledged that the PGA Tour has many dozens of sponsors who operate in SA. And at the end of the day, so does the F1. I've said it many times. How entrenched is the PIF fund in Saudi with F1? They got one of the sickest courses on the circuit in Saudi Arabia. So they did it with soccer or football, whatever part of the world you're in. So this isn't abnormal for they are investors in FedEx. You go through it, which is a major sponsor of PGA Tour. The Google what the PIF fund is invested into public company wise, and the list is there. They've got a piece of every major global organization, and especially in the US. So there's no one's going to condone what's happened politically and what they did to the reporter. But
Yeah,
this really,
Khashoggi. Yeah, I mean, we're not promoting anything. I mean, we're just delivering news. Again, we're fans of golf. I love the PGA Tour. I love LIV Golf. I love it all. I've been involved in the game for over 25 years. So have you. In as an amateur for yourself, and in business for myself as a golf teaching professional. I'm having this argument consistently with people, and I don't want to argue. I would rather debate. I give my opinion, and I respect people's opinion. Other people are going to have different opinions about different things, and people are allowed to change their mind, Mike. I mean, if you had one perspective on something and you feel a little bit differently, why are people getting bashed, especially on social media? And we know it's like a vicious circle of people on the internet, but people get bashed for changing their mind. I mean, one day I might like chocolate ice cream, and the next day vanilla might be my favorite, right? And I know it's crazy to compare something as simple as that, but people are allowed to change their opinions.
social media is a cesspool, especially Twitter, right? It's so when you post on Twitter, and as you did today, the sharks are out there. They're vulnerable, and there's trolls out there with fake accounts just looking to stir the pot. So, and you're subject to scrutiny on social media. So we all have to have thicker skin, especially putting content out. We're open to getting ripped for no reason at all. So other than someone just wants to try to give someone, have them have a bad day. So to those people,
Mike, yeah, thank you for
I
saying
won't
all
say
that.
it live on air, but to those people, find something else to do.
Exactly,
You need a hug.
exactly. You need a hug. You need to be happy. How's this camera, Mike? I changed my camera angle. It's a little bit closer to my face. I just switched things up just because my camera was so blurry. Yeah, leave your comments below. Please subscribe to what we're doing. We're trying to put out as much content as possible and talk about the different things that we do and we will be doing over time. And so I'm pretty excited to announce a few things. I put a channel together. Mike and I are going to be putting together some playing content. This week is the Canadian Open as well. So that's exciting. But just going back to what you were saying, Mike, Jay Monahan, I've got to touch on this because the hypocrisy, I think it's driving me bananas. I think, from what he said in the past and what he's saying right now is really crazy. And one of the quotes today after the meeting, if I could read this to you, it's he said that I recognize everything I've said in the past in my past positions. I recognize that people are going to call me a hypocrite. You think? Yeah. Anytime I said anything, I said it with the information I had in the moment, which is kind of a scapegoat. But he's been in a very, very difficult position. Can you
No
imagine?
other commissioners ever dealt with this ever, right? This is something unique that Tim Fincham would have struggled. He had a long tenure on tour. He would have struggled with this one too.
Yeah.
How do you get it right? You're doomed either way. And yeah, we've talked about how he might have addressed the competition to limit all of the disruption. But and I had a thought earlier. Was this part of the master plan? Has this been in the cards previously, knowing that perhaps the future of the PGA Tour was in jeopardy? Was this part of the plan to brew up some controversy, shake things up? Probably not, but and they end up building a large global golf organization, which could have some fun moments about it. We talked about on the phone earlier, the team component could have routes to grow into home courses and countries and have maybe this gives a chance for that component to grow, because it was kind of LIV was almost like a beta test, and maybe LIV the DP and PGA all work in separate divisions underneath the new parent company umbrella, because there is a new name coming, new entity that Jay will supposedly be the CEO. So those three tours exist underneath that umbrella, and then they can grow parts out. So maybe LIV contains the team components, and because it's not like we're gonna lose all the classic PGA tournaments, like where those things aren't going away, like all these historic events, the memorials, that would just happen, and all the other different tournaments, that the Genesis, you name it, they all got to exist. All that history is still there. So then you throw in another thought into this tangent. Tiger and Rory had their venture for the Monday Night League.
You're one step ahead of me. Like smart minds think alike. Go ahead.
So does this play well to them? There's a lot of anger, vitriol, coming around, and players feel betrayed and demanding, new leadership. So do Tiger and Rory sweep in with a new, league of their own? They already are doing it. Maybe they expand it.
Or maybe it's going to be part of it. Who knows? At the end of the day, I want to touch on two things you talked about. The first thing that you talked about, Mike, was the idea of having teams in different cities, but having a home course, just like NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, FIFA. The teams have their own stadiums and ownership. So wouldn't it be cool, for example, the Fireballs, which are primarily Hispanic, Spanish, or South American, would be in somewhere like Valderrama, and that's their home base, and that's where you could get all the merch, and that's where you could go see them for a home game. And then an away game would be like going to the US, and can you imagine there's a Japanese team. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to go by nationality, but I thought that was a crazy idea. I think it got floated around once by Greg on an early interview, but no one's touched that subject. This is an exclusive here on the Golf Podcast.
The concept is new outside of Ryder Cup and President's Cup, which President's Cup hasn't been around as long as the Ryder Cup. But outside of that, and obviously in collegiate level, there's team golf, but seeing it come into the professional level is new. So obviously it's going to be met with challenge, just like anything that disrupts the norm. Now, it give it some time to materialize, and for them to evolve it into something. There might be a way to grow the game, or to show a different format, which in LIV is showing that it attracts a bit of a younger audience. And we know there's the topic of LIV is heavily debated, but the fact is that if you go to an event, there's a lot of younger people there, and they've got the concert aspect to it. So they might keep that thing going, and keep the team thing encompassed within that. And they separate and leave PGA Tour for its schedule of stroke play. We lost match play this year on PGA Tour, so there's a void there. So, but then now we've got PGA Tour versus LIV golfers on the table again. That could actually happen. Not just be like sort of but now they're owned by the same company. So the fact that maybe that hatred isn't there as it was doesn't make the head-to-head match play event all that interesting. So there's so much. We've just got this news hit us.
We're not even scratching the surface.
We've got some limited comments.
Limited comments. We got to go through so much different material. We've got to read all the documentation. We will obviously be talking to people. I'll be at the Canadian Open all week, so hopefully we'll be able to get some interviews in, get some feet on the ground, some boots on the ground, as they say, out at the Open. I'll be in the clubhouse. I'll be on the range, the chipping putting areas, on the golf course, inside the ropes, and we'll see what happens. We'll get some information firsthand, because this is all brand new. Mike, you touched on the fact that the players, I wonder how some of these players feel.
Tiger turned down 800 for Tiger Woods, 800
Eight
million.
eight
He
hundred
said
million
no.
dollars. Well,
Like,
they're already very wealthy. But that being
but
said,
it
there's
comes,
something to be said for people like Will Zalatoris, who went into injury, got offered $100 million.
yeah,
And what does he have to say now? Like, he supported what Jay Monahan wanted them to do. Rory McIlroy's game suffered considerably, in my opinion, this year because of all the meetings and board meetings and stress he had from the media. Like, he took on a second job. He should be just playing, enjoying the game, talking about his
yeah.
game for the love of the game. And I blame a little bit of this on some media that made this out to be, horrible, right? That there's this
Well,
other tour, and then everybody kind of caught on to it. It was like a snowball that we couldn't stop. It was just picking up all this junk while it was going down the hill. And so you had some influential people giving their opinions, and the general public in golf are just following suit. Oh, well, if Brandel said that, it must mean
yeah.
that it's
People pick
gold.
up the headlines and run with it, right? When they got on the high moral horse about the politics of Saudi money being involved in sport, but they forgot all about the other sports that are happily taking
Yeah.
sponsorship from Saudi money. And that all just got swept under the radar. Let's just shit on the live players, literally,
Mm.
and create all kinds of controversy. And so I'm kind of. Like we've talked about, like I'll always be PGA Tour fan. It's great. I've
Yeah,
watched it,
100%.
but I've missed the live guys being on tour. So now there's a pathway back, and it's probably going to come with some penalties. It's not going to be a totally open door, but there's a pathway back, and maybe they've got to do some restitution for other players, but they'll figure that out. I guarantee that some players are talking to their lawyers today, who's remained with the PGA Tour, because how would you feel if you turned down 45, 50, $100 million, even $10 million for some of the lesser players for it to go over to the new experimental tour of LIV, and you said no, being loyal to PGA, and then this happens. So there's some angry professional golfers today. And I wouldn't doubt if dozens of them have been talking to lawyers, and there could be some settlements coming.
I agree with you. And there goes, going back to the lawyers. But I think this is what they were trying to avoid. I think they're going to take care of them with different types of funding.
Probably.
They were trying to restructure so many things to make it more viable. It just became more disagreeable, with no
Yeah.
cuts, and changing the ball. There's so much change to the game, and with
Yeah.
the media and the Netflix series is going to be wild. What
It
a
might be
roller
more
coaster.
interesting this time.
It might be a little bit more interesting this time. But
Yeah.
and after 2 years of what we've called a disruption, Jay Monahan is probably going to step down. I think
I think so. I think that's highly in the cards. He might temporarily be nominated this new position, but it sounds like the players are pissed. There's been a lot of talk about how he handled the live thing in the beginning, so they might be out for
how does this
blood.
go how does everything get swept under the rug for a nonprofit organization? They have a player base with a player board, and they didn't know anything about it. Rory just found out this morning. Like,
Yeah.
how does a deal like this get passed? The only way I see this happening is there must have been massive litigation. There was a big problem. And for
Yeah.
them to fix this before everybody got thrown under the bus, they came to an agreement. And I think PGA Tour folded. They had to fold because
Yeah.
a lot of things were going to be exposed. Now, I don't know this for sure, but what else could it be? What else could it be? Like, I mean, under the terms of the agreement, the board of directors of the new entity will oversee and direct all the new entities' golf-related communication and commercial operations. What does that mean? and businesses and investments. So what it looks like to me, Mike, you know, I've read many agreements in my life, not only for golf, but other things. You and I are of age. we're both 50 years old. We've gone through a lot in life and golf. It looks like they're going for profit. This will be a for-profit organization. I think they're losing their status.
Well, I saw in the notes today that the PGA Tour itself retains its business class as a nonprofit.
Oh, I see.
But
this merger,
the parent company, whatever this to be named entity, will be the umbrella company for all of the other organizations. So
sounds like a shell company.
The
my God,
lawyers,
it just sounds weird. No, it makes sense.
The lawyers involved in this are making a ton of money. You know, this because this is going to be a lot of work for them to restructure. So we will see. There's going to be a new brand coming out, a new names.
You're absolutely right. I'm reading it right now. You're right. Separately, PGA Tour Inc. will remain in place with its 501c6 tax-exempt organization and retains administrative oversight events to those assets contributed by the PGA Tour, including the sanctioning of events. Okay. It looks like it's all good. You're right.
So everything just stays in its status quo, but then there's a new boss, you know, which will be this company X, whatever it's to be named, that will be the overseeing company, and that board will make all decisions for the entire organization below it. That's how I understand it.
Yeah. And you know, it looks like this is just to avoid all the litigation, all the stuff, all the lawsuits and everything, because it says all parties will work in the months to come to finalize terms of the agreement with details to be announced in due course. So it's just
the one of the announcers from the Golf Channel that may or not have blocked any of us was talking about what happens in a lawsuit, and these two organizations who are fairly secretive. When you get into the microscope of a courtroom, neither one of them would want to do this. And the PGA Tour then, in my opinion, being in a weak financial position, if that is correct, they were ripe to be pushed into this agreement, or they could be crushed. They can't afford to go head to head with the PIF fund, who have just endless buckets of money to throw at this, and they don't have the power to stand up to it. So I guess the old saying, you can't beat them, join them, just happened.
Yeah, it seems, but you know what? It doesn't mean that the tour is not going to have integrity. It doesn't mean
affect the game.
Are so emotional about how they judge and the opinion. It's okay. The opinions are great. It's just like social media. If you were to tell me that you don't agree with something I say and you explain to me why, I'll try to get back to that person. But if they're degrading me or you and using swear words and just not knowing us on a personal level or where we stand with things, it's surprising. And I think that's what the players are going to feel. That's what all the administration is going to feel on all the tours. But at the end of the day, the players win because they're going to be making even more money, Mike. I thought we reached the pinnacle of golf, but we're going to be looking at an injection of a few more $1 billion into this game, with all the tours working together, and the players are going to benefit, not just the lawyers. If you're a great golfer, not only are you rich now, you're going to be richer. You'll be even wealthier.
It's definitely, it'll lift all boats in the professional golf scene, and the ancillary markets, like even for podcasters, for other media organizations, authors, it's going to bring a lot of money into the game. A huge awareness is going to develop out of this. So, everyone was getting roasted for saying it's all about growing the game. But, with this type of backing, it can bring golf into a lot of countries that haven't had the chance to get exposed to it as much, right? So, this
is why the PGA Tour went into China in the first place, right?
Yeah,
they went into China not because the Chinese government owns the PGA Tour. They do have sponsors involved, but it was really to grow the game in the East.
Yeah.
To grow, and the PGA Tour owned the rights, and they were expanding the game there, and it was a good partnership with their sponsors, and there was no talk of atrocities in China, that's where some of the hypocrisy comes in. But
Oh, shit, yeah.
it's just a different animal. It's a different conversation. We could go down a rabbit hole with every single person on tour and every single commercial company. Not saying that it's right, but you can find dirt on everything and
It's
make it
all
out to
there.
be horrible.
And that was the problem with this conversation, is because everyone was just focusing on this pile of dirt right here with these guys who jumped over to LIV. That they're focusing on all that and not these other topics, like you just said about PGA Tour going into China. So yeah, it was just tiring. So, but now it's kind of actually entertaining that this has come back full circle, and slapped everybody in the face. It's just so apart, because like I saw you sent me the article. I saw it come in 3 other different chats with other friends, and I'm like, shit, this is real. Like I just couldn't believe it in the first chat that I saw it in. And I just thought this was a joke. I looked at the date quickly on the article. I'm like, this is today's date. I'm like, this is legit. And it was just a shock. So but you know what, it's great, good for podcasters. We're gonna get lots to talk about.
That's a really nice cap you have there, Mike.
It is.
All jokes aside, we put our merch together and we haven't even promoted or done anything. If you like our caps, if you like our content, I got a cap on as well.
We got more coming. These are some prototypes that we've made. So we've got some more merch coming. Probably be a whole bunch of caps coming soon. So we will do some more giveaways. We've been giving some away at an event that we've been sponsoring in North Vancouver shipyards. We've given away a bunch of swag down there. And we're we're working hard to grow this channel. So throw a smash into the subscribe button, and if you're listening on the platforms, subscribe to the channel, please, and share it on social media if you can. We'd love it.
Mike, very quickly, our friend over at TSN, Adam Scully, who was on the show early this year, he was over at the Players meeting, or was just outside of it, and over at Oakdale Golf and Country Club, and he was saying all players declined to comment, and most of them were walking out in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah. Jeff Ogilvy was one of the few people that actually spoke, and he admitted that people were there's a standing ovation when one of the players demanded new leadership be voted in. The sense was betrayal and unionization was a few of the things that were brought up. So this could force the players to form a union and start to get a louder voice, because remember, the players are only 40% of the controlling body of the PGA Tour. Right. So essentially they can be outvoted at any time. So they really don't have any say, even though it sounds like they have a large amount of input. So there's a lot to be determined. So we got to stay tuned over the next week, 2 weeks, and year to come here, because there's gonna be a lot of changes announced.
Oh, Mike, one of the things is I'm going to leave at this comment, because who was in the center of all of this? Not only Phil Mickelson, but obviously the person who made all of this happen, Mr. Greg Norman.
Now, I haven't seen a comment from him yet.
No, because supposedly him being the CEO of LIV Golf, Greg Norman, had little notice of the merger.
That's right. That's what I
heard
too.
And likely won't be involved in any shape or form. Those are titles, some subtitles of some of the comments that are out there on social media and on websites. Very surprising. You're right, he has not made a comment as of yet, not that I know of.
He could be getting fired as we speak. I'm trying to pull up his Twitter feed while we're talking here.
Okay.
And see, and maybe he blocked me too.
No, I don't think
No, I'm just
Greg
kidding.
would
No, I'm
block.
just kidding. I haven't been trolling. I gave Brandel a hard time this week, and I'm out. All Instagram, my Twitter, our pod's Twitter. Yeah, we're all out from Brandel's world.
With the amount that Phil has actually came forward in the last week or two, it makes you think that he already knew that this was going to happen. The way he's been vocal online, just he was tired of hearing all the stuff that he started hitting back at people, and the timing couldn't have been better. I mean, really funny comment today. Just as the announcement got made, he wrote, "Awesome day today, smiley face."
Yeah, Phil's great. Greg commented 3 hours ago, "A great day in global golf for players and fans alike. The journey continues!" Exclamation. So that's very open-ended. That could mean anything. So
yeah,
but time will tell. So you know that Jay Monahan and Greg Norman aren't going to work well together. So
right.
I agree. Greg's days could be numbered. Jay's days could be numbered, or maybe both of them. So at least like Monahan does have experience running a major tour. Like other than all of this live controversy, he's he's taken over the torch from Tim Fincham and ran with it. So he does have that experience, but does Greg? No, like, I mean, Greg knows golf, he knows business, he's done very well with his business ventures. So there's no doubt about that. And he was a great golfer in his day. But it's a different animal running a tour, dealing with all these players. There's been a lot of controversy. A lot of people turned their backs on him during all of this. So, it might be better to insert new characters.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
Jack's,
Mike Wan comes over to PGA Tour.
Maybe.
I don't know. just I got his name written down in my notes, so it came to mind.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Jack Nicklaus is supporting this as well with some comments.
Well, Fred Ridley, Masters chairman, he's encouraged. I won't read the whole quote, but go on. What did Patrick say?
Oh, there was Patrick as well. Surprised that this merger has happened so quickly, but not surprised it's happened. Definitely in the financial interests of both sides. Definitely in the financial interests of both sides. No, he said that twice. I wasn't repeating myself.
Okay.
And and he finishes off by saying, "Good for the cohesive of global golf."
Well, it is nice to maybe put this hatred that's been built up over the last year and a half.
Because you know what? It's going to be a reunion. It's just like at the majors, everybody was going to see each other. There was a little bit of tension. How cool was the
Masters? Yeah, I've seen all the guys get down onto the range and like it's like the band's back together again. So that was really cool to watch. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you, Mike. I think that we're going to call it an evening, right?
Yeah, let's wrap it. We can go on. There's going to be lots more to talk about, and we've got John Feinstein coming up next week on Monday.
Next week we're going to talk about
probably be some more
book.
Guests too. Yeah, we've got there's going to be more guests. So especially now we got something great to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted just a quick shout out to all our supporters and everybody who's been actually following us. Please share. We're trying to grow. We're going to be putting out a lot more content. And for all those who came on as guests, we just recently had Jim McLean. Thanks for coming on, Jim. That was a great show. Amazing stories about all the celebrities and players he's taught over the years. He's really sincerely helped grow the game, and the support from even players that were his students, like Len Matisse has been on the show. So thank you for John Feinstein for making the commitment as well. And then our Canadians like Rick Young. We've got a lot of outreach. We're going to see who gets back to us, but we're really excited with the way the show's been going. And thank you for the support.
Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, this is it's been a fun journey, and we're looking forward to growing it further. So yeah, thank you, everybody. And that's it. So till next time.
All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.